21 Srimad Bhagavatam Reading Challenge. Our today's speaker is a medical doctor by profession, initiated disciple of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, and serves as Houston Temple Coordinator and Annual Japa Retreat Facilitator. On behalf of ISKCON Bhagavad Mahavidyalaya North America, I'd like to welcome our today renowned speaker, Her Grace Gurubhakti Devi Dasi. Welcome, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Everybody, can you hear me?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Ishwar Krishna Prabhu, for giving me this opportunity to serve ISKCON Bhagavad Mahavidyalaya and also to the institution itself for allowing me to present today. I would like to share my screen, and I don't know how can I do that.
Yeah, if you see the green arrow in the screen, if you click on that share screen, you will see over there in the Zoom.
Let me see, where is my Zoom? Has disappeared. Hold on a minute. Let me go down. Zoom. Share screen will be.
Yeah, if you move your cursor down, it should be in the bottom tip, like
on the bottom somewhere.
Yeah, where the mute, stop, and all these things gonna be mic and.
I'm in the. If I do full screen.
Okay, let me take off spotlight. Maybe it's easy for you.
Sure. Yeah, take off the spotlight. Okay, if I go here, more share screen.
Yes.
And this is the one we're going to share. Share.
Yes, Mother, we can see it now.
You can see.
Yes.
Okay, so let me go back. Okay, so today we are going to be speaking from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5. But before we start, I'll say some Mangalacharna prayers, and then we will start then I'll talk, okay? So, Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruhu Shri Yuta Padakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatan Sahagana Raghunathan Vidantam Sajivat Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhescha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Tama Krishna Goswami Namine Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravadi Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So we've been systematically studying the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it is described that the Srimad Bhagavatam can be compared to the body of the Lord. So cantos 1 and 2 are like the lotus feet, right? And then cantos 3 and 4 are like the thighs of the Lord. And now we are on canto 5, which is like the lotus navel of the Lord. And in the also, you know that the Srimad Bhagavatam talks about 10 different topics. So in Canto 5, mostly it is about Visarga, the secondary creation. It also gives you the topography or the geography of the universe. But today we are going to speak about this special incarnation of the Lord who was known as Rishabdev, and whatever which is covered in the Bhagavatam from chapters 3 to 6. Okay. So I thought I'll give you a little bit of genealogy before we start. So we saw that Priyavrata Maharaj, right, is the son of Manu. So in the third and fourth cantos, we have seen about the other descendants of Manu, right? His Holiness Hanumat Prishaka Swami say the acronym is Depth Up. We saw in Canto 3, Devahuti, Akuti, Prasuti, and then Uttanapad and Dhruva Maharaj. So now we are going to look at the descendants of Priyavrata Maharaj and how they populated the earth. So Priyavrata Maharaj had a son whose name was Agnidhara, and he married Purvachiti. And by their union, they had a son who was called Nabi. Nabi in turn married Meru Devi. And the son from this union was Rishabdev. So Nabi, he prayed to the Lord and he did many austerities because he wanted to have a son like the Lord. He did not say that he wanted the Lord to be his son, but he wanted to have a son who would be like the Lord, compared to like Yashoda or Nanda Maharaj, right? They wanted the Lord to be their son. So Rishabdev is like a partial incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Rishab means the supreme or the best. And then Rishabdev married Jayanti. And from their marriage, they had 100 sons. Okay. So the 100 sons, although Rishabdev was a very qualified Brahmin, we can see that all the Brahmin, it's not by birth. Because you see, the 10 of his sons were more like Kshatriyas in quality. And of them, the most famous one is King Bharat. And from this King Bharat, Bharat Varsha, or India, takes its name from the this monarch, Bharat. Then there were 9 of his sons were Mahabhagavatas. These are the no Yogendras. The 9 Yogendras, which you'll hear about them in Canto 11. And the rest, 81, were very qualified Brahmanas. So this is kind of just the genealogy. So you get an idea of like where this story fits in the scheme of things. Okay. So we said Rishab means supreme and it means perfect, right? The best. So Rishabdev was so called by his father because he had all the qualities of the supreme personality of Godhead, or like very qualified person. And he was a perfect brahmachari when he was a student. Then when he became a grihastha, he was a perfect grihastha. He was a perfect leader when he led the country. So, and then in the Bhagavatam, this verse comes up, which says, Yat yat chilshayan charitam tat tat anuvartate loka. It's very similar to the Bhagavad Gita verse, Yat yat acharati shrestnas, no? Whatever action is performed by a great man, common men follow. So Rishabdev's reason for inventing was two, essentially. One was the Lord wanted to fulfill the desire of his father, right? The second was that he wanted to re-establish Varnashram Dharma because Varnashram Dharma had become corrupted. So therefore he did his duties as a householder, as a leader, and as a brahmachari perfectly. Okay. Then when at one time Rishabdev went on tour, and while he was on tour, he taught his 100 sons, he gave them some lessons. So these are 10 verses in chapter 5, which describe the process of self-realization. So I thought we will go through this and give this is like a summary of his teachings. Now I like to have participation. So I wonder if if there's anyone who would like to read the Sanskrit, or should I read the Sanskrit and someone can read the English? Anyone would like to volunteer to read the Sanskrit? If you would like, you can just, let me see if I can see your hand.
Prahalanda,
Go ahead. Okay, so Prahlada Nanda Prabhu, you can go ahead and read the Sanskrit.
Okay, Mataji, are you going to put it on the screen, or I
Yes,
need to read
you are seeing the share, right? Can you see it?
I cannot see the.
You
Mother,
cannot
we are
see?
seeing the SharePoint, but I think it's content on the first page only. Rshabdev live.
The first page.
Can you see the Sanskrit?
No,
I
I
see
think
the first. Sorry. Go ahead,
The
Prabhu.
print is very small. If you hit the part where it says present, it will enlarge it for all of us.
Where I say present, so go to
Yes,
Zoom
it should be on the right-hand corner of the PowerPoint.
of the, or on the right-hand corner of the PowerPoint.
Yeah, it says
go-
present.
So go to the PowerPoint and go to the right-hand corner. Okay, here.
And that's the word that says present, and that will enlarge it. It will remove the left side.
Oh, I'm seeing on mine. Yeah, I want to remove that. So I am in the presentation mode. On
Mother, do you have the dual screen or something?
arrange, editing, dictate, add-ins.
No. If you go down only, down you have, if
Down.
you go bottom, in the bottom.
Bottom of the,
Yeah, in the footer, right, you have display setting.
sorry,
If you go to the, in the PowerPoint only, if you go a little
yes,
down and go towards the right-hand side
to the right-hand side. Okay.
and go down, you see, stay down, your cursor, if you down, you see the 60%, right? And one before that, there's a presentation mode over there.
Oh, I cannot see that because maybe I should just use one. Hold on, I'll take this off. I can see better. Is that better?
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay,
So,
Prabhu, you can start to read.
Mataji, can I read the Sanskrit?
Yes, you please read the Sanskrit.
Okay. Rshabdev uvacha nayam deho dehbajam nruloke kastan kaman arhate vidbujam ye tapodivyam putrakayena sattvam suddhaye yasmad brahm swaukhyam tvanantam.
Okay. Anyone who can read English can read the translation. Like a good English speaker. Okay, Hemi, go ahead and read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Lord Rshabdev told his sons, my dear boys, of all the living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for dogs and hogs that eat stool. One should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service. By such activity, one's heart is purified, and when one attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness and which continues forever. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So Rishabdev is telling his sons that, my dear boys, my dear sons, you have had this human form of life, right? But in this form of, as a human being, you should detach from matter and you should love Krishna. You should engage in devotional service. Then the question may become, what is the process? How do I do it? So then he speaks the next verse. So who can read this one? These are favorite, very oft-quoted verses by Srila Prabhupada. That's why I have them. Okay, Pradhananda Prabhu, you can read the Sanskrit again.
Prabhu, unmute yourself, sorry. Prabhuji, unmute yourself, sorry.
Yeah.
Mahat sevam dvaram mahurvimukte stamo dvaram yoshitam sangi sangam mahantaste samchittaha prasanta vimanyavah suhradah sadavoye.
So, and then here's the translation. How do we do this? What is the key? Go ahead, someone can read the English. Rajabhumi, you want to read the English? Thank you.
Thank you. One can attain the path to liberation from material bondage only by rendering service to highly advanced spiritual personalities. These personalities are impersonalists and devotees. Whether one wants to merge into the Lord's existence or one wants to associate with the personality of Godhead, one should render service to the Mahatmas. For those who are interested in such activities, who associate with people fond of women and sex, the path to hell is wide open. The Mahatmas are equipoise. They do not see any difference between one living entity and another. They are very peaceful and are fully engaged in devotional service. They are devoid of anger and they work for the benefit of everyone. They do not behave in any abominable way. Such people are known as Mahatmas.
So he's saying, right, the key is that we should serve the Mahatmas in order to get liberation from the cycle of material life. And how do you recognize a Mahatma? He says the Mahatmas are equipoise, right? They do not see any differences between different living entities. They are peaceful, they engage in devotional service, they don't become angry, they work for everyone's benefit, and their behavior is impeccable. So that is the kind of Mahatma that we should serve. Okay. And then he says, okay, so when I serve the Mahatma, what happens? Like, what is the other process, right? So this is the verse he speaks. Someone can again read that. Who can read the Sanskrit? Kalindi, you can read the Sanskrit. Thank you.
Mataji, unmute yourself. Mataji, unmute yourself.
Yeva maise krita saulidartha jane sudeham bhagavartikeshu griheshu jayatma jarati matsu na priti yukta yavad arta saloke.
And somebody who would like to read the English. Okay, I'm actually not able to see.
Radhika Mataji, you want?
Okay, thank you. Ishwar Krishna Prabhu, if you can handle that, that'll be great. Thank you.
Sure.
Hare Krishna Mataji and
Hare
dear
Krishna.
devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Those who are interested in reviving Krishna consciousness and increasing their love of Godhead do not like to do anything that is not related to Krishna. They are not interested in mingling with people who are busy maintaining their bodies, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. They are not attracted to their homes, although they may be householders. Nor are they attached to wives, children, friends, or wealth. At the same time, they are not indifferent to the execution of their duties. Such people are interested in collecting only enough money to keep the body and soul together. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so this is the principle we have seen. No, anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjana. That you accept those things which are favorable for devotional service and you neglect the others. So here we see someone in the middle of a city taking some time to meditate. So when we serve the Mahatmas, then this is what we do. We accept those things which are favorable and we forget about things which are not favorable. Then this one, can someone read the Sanskrit? Then he says, when you say you avoid things which are not favorable, he says we should avoid sense gratification, yeah? And we should not be mad after pramatta, after sense gratification. So someone can read that, please. Okay, Usha, can you read that? Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Nonam pramada guru devi karma yadindriya pritaya pranoti na sadhu manye yadatmenoyam asana vikleshada asadeha.
Thank you. Beautiful. And the translation. So, who can read the translation? Who would like to read the translation?
Richa Mataji.
Hare
Richa
Krishna.
Mataji, yeah.
Krishna. When a person considers sense gratification the aim of life, he suddenly becomes materialistic living.
We
and
cannot hear you. You have to speak a little
engage in all
louder.
kinds of sinful activity. He does not know that Jesus
Maybe you can be closer to the microphone.
considers sense gratification the aim of life. He considers the
Mataji, your voice is breaking. If you can come
Yeah.
near to the mic or maybe talk a little louder.
someone else can speak loud.
Maybe someone can help her out while she
Maybe
fixes
someone
that.
else can.
That's better.
When a person
make that
considers sense
like
gratification
set
the aim of life, he certainly becomes mad after materialistic living and engages in all kinds of sinful activity. He does not know that due to his past misdeeds, he has already received a body which, although temporary, is the cause of his miseries. Actually, the living entity should not have taken on a material body, but he has been awarded the material body for sense gratification. Therefore, I think it is not befitting an intelligent man to involve himself again in the activities of sense gratification by which he perpetually gets the material bodies one after another. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So you see, when we get the human body, if we think sense gratification like here in the top picture is the goal of life, the result is misery, right? And therefore, that should not be our aim in life. Why? Because otherwise we will go into ignorance. Okay, you can read the next one.
Yeah,
Sahil?
Sahil Prabhu. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mata Dandavad
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Prabhavastavad abodho jato yavanna jijnasata atma tattvam yavat kriyastavad idam manovahe karmotmakam yena sharira bandha.
And what does that mean? Who can read the translation?
As long as one does not inquire about the spiritual values of life, one is defeated and subjected to miseries arising from ignorance, be it sinful or pious. Karma has its resultant actions. If a person is engaged in any kind of karma, his mind is called karmatmaka, colored with fruitive activity. As long as the mind is impure, consciousness is unclear, and as long as one is absorbed in fruitive activity, he has to accept a material body. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So it condemns all kind of material activity, whether it is pious or impious, right? Because it will lead to karma. There is some reaction, and we want to avoid, whether it's good reaction or bad reaction, we want to do akarmic activities. Okay, the next one here.
Evam.
Let's see if I can get this. Can you see that? I don't know why this is so high.
Yeah,
Can
Prahlad
you
Prabhu,
read
you
that?
want to read?
You're not
Yes.
able to see, right?
May I go ahead, Prabhuji? Evam manah karmavasam prayunkte avidyaya atmanyupadhiyamane pritirna yavan mayi vasudeve namuchyate deha yoge natavat. Hari Bol.
So he's saying how we can read the translation.
I can read.
Yes.
When Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam everyone, when the
Hare
living entity is covered by the ignorance, he does not understand the individual living being and the supreme being, and his mind is subjugated by which activity?
Fruitive activity.
For
Fruitive.
that means fruitive activity. Therefore, until one has love for Vasudeva, who is none other than myself, certainly not delivered from having to get material body again and again.
Yes. So because of ignorance, the ignorance covers the soul, and therefore the soul is bound into the network of karma, right? And then there's another verse, this one here. Someone can read?
May I, Prabhuji?
I can read. Yada na pasyati ayatha guneham swarte pramatha samasa vipaschit gata smitir vindati tatvatapan asadya maitunyam agaram agya.
So, someone please read the translation. Who could like to read the translation?
Can I read?
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Even though one may be very learned and wise, he is mad if he does not understand that the endeavor for sense gratification is a useless waste of time. Being forgetful of his own interest, he tries to be happy in the material world, centering his interests around his home, which is based on sexual intercourse and which brings him all kinds of material miseries. In this way, one is no better than a foolish animal. Haribol.
Thank you. So even a person who is educated or who can be maybe learned or wise, he can also be covered by ignorance, right? So therefore, we can easily forget our constitutional position. And of the ways to forget, the worst one is this one. You can read this. Who can read this?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Pumsa striya mituni bhavam etam tayor mito hridaya granthim ahu ato griha kshetra sutapta vitay janasya moho ya ayam aham mamiti. Hare
Yes.
Krishna.
So, and who would like to read the translation?
I can read.
Yes.
The attraction between male and female is the basic principle of material existence. On the basis of this misconception, one ties together the hearts of the male and female. One becomes attracted to his body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one increases life's illusions and thinks in terms of I and mine.
Yes. So the basis at the heart of sense gratification, at the heart of material life, is this attraction between men and women. And as you can see, then it expands, right, into children, home, wealth, and one thinks, aham mameti, this is mine, and I and mine, you know. But you can see that this couple looks very unhappy, even though they have like 2 children, right? So, what to do? What is the solution? Someone can read? Who would like to read?
May I read, Mata?
Yes, go ahead.
Yada manohraday granthirasya karmanubaddho drada ashlatheta tada janah samparivarter asmad muktah param yati atihaya hetum. Hari.
Okay, and who would like to read the translation?
Can I read?
Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
When the strong note in the heart of a person implicated in material life due to the result of past action is slackened, one turns away from his attachment to home, wife, and children. In this way, one gives up the basic principle of illusion, I and mine, and becomes liberated. Thus, one goes to the transcendental world.
Yeah, so he's saying that we can get rid of this cycle of birth and death, this knot of material attachment, by pursuing, advancing towards liberation, right? And then, so what is the process of advancing towards liberation? And in chapter 5, verses 10 to 14, Rshabdev, he enumerates 25 things that someone can cultivate. And I'm not going to go through this because we are already running late. But I have the Sanskrit, and then what does it mean? The Sanskrit, and what does it mean? Now, you have a Guru Pada Shraya, get detached from metta, you tolerate the dualities, and then all the way to 25. Okay, so we cultivate these activities, and by doing this, we can go towards liberation. However, he says, you still have to be careful. Why? This is what he says. Who would like to read? We are pursuing liberation, but we should still be careful.
May I? Be very careful. By this means, you will be freed from the ignorance of the desire for fruity activity, and the knot of bondage in the heart will be completely severed. For further advancement, you should also give up the means. That is, you should not become attached to the process of liberation itself. Hare Krishna.
Yes, so he's saying that you're cultivating all these good qualities, but don't be attached to those good qualities, because you may be attached to the process, and our goal is not to become liberated, right? Our goal is that we want to get a relationship with Krishna. So you can cultivate those activities, but don't be attached to that process. And then how he says, so Rishabdev has taught his sons, and then he gives us 4 points on how we can teach this to others. He's a very good teacher. So he says the first thing is you should focus on the goal. And what the goal is Krishna, the Supreme Lord. Then he says you should instruct others, okay? And you should be patient with your students, and you should teach others to avoid entanglement in karma. Not only that, but he says those who are materialists, we don't get upset with them, we should be compassionate. So this is how we can teach others the same process that Rshabdev taught his sons, and this process of giving up the samsara and advancing to relationship with Krishna. Okay. Then he speaks about how the he wants to we want to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then he's going to say that what is the duty of anyone who's a guardian? This is a very famous verse which Srila Prabhupada would quote. So can someone read who would like to read the verse?
Guru
Someone who would like to volunteer.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Gurur nasyat svajano nasyat pita naso syat janani nasasyat devam na tatsyan na patisya nasyan namochayid yaha samupeta mrityum.
And here's the translation. Someone can read the translation.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
One who cannot deliver his dependents from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, a father, a husband, a mother, or a worshipable demigod.
Yes. So if we have someone dependent on us, particularly as a teacher, right, father, husband, mother, or demigod, then it's important for us to give people the knowledge by which they can stop the cycle of birth and death. Then he tells his sons, you are born from within my heart, and therefore you cannot do anything materialistic. You are free from envy, and even all of you are so qualified, but I'm nominating the elder son Bharat as the person in charge, the king. So, because I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead myself, if you serve your brother Bharat, you will be serving me. And Bharat is not serving, it's not that his brothers are serving Bharat and Bharat is like independent. Bharat will be serving the Brahmins. So this is in Varnashram that the Brahmins are advising the king or the politicians or the administrators how to run the country. And then he says, okay, then what is a Brahmin? The sons may be asking, how do I recognize who's a Brahmin, right? So Rishabdev says they learn, they submit the Shastra, and they teach the Shastra. And he describes 8 qualities which you may already be quite familiar with. We see this also in Bhagavad Gita. Samo, Dhamma, tapa socham, right? Tapasya titikshawa anubhava. So anyone who has these qualities is a Brahmin. And of course, the best Brahmin is a Vaishnava because he gets you to Vishnu. Then, what is the final instruction? After all that he's spoken, the final instruction Srila Prabhupada does very nicely. He quotes the from Madhavacharya from the Padma Purana. So first thing he says, one who has clear vision, who is not envious and can see the Supreme Lord as separate from all living entities, although he is situated in every entity. The Lord is present in every living entity, but he is separate from them. The second thing is that one who sees the living entity and the Supreme Lord as always distinct is very dear to the Lord. Then the living, if we can see that the Jiva and the Supreme Lord, the Super Soul or the Lord, are always they are always 2 separate individuals. They don't become one. There's no merging. And finally, one who knows this and then preaches that the living entities are separate from the Supreme Lord is very dear to Lord Vishnu. So this Srila Prabhupada has given from the writings from the Padma Purana. And you can see how Srila Prabhupada very cleverly incorporates the writings of the previous acharyas in his writings. So then, Rishabdev, so after he has given the kingdom to Bharat, he then becomes an Avadut, right? An Avadut is someone who does not follow social conventions. does not follow any rules and regulations of society, right? So what he did is he became, he was, before we saw that he was like following Varnashram very nicely. So the Avadut does not follow the rules of Varnashram. And then he took up this profession of the Ajagar, like the python. What the python does not make any endeavor to eat or to get his food. He just waits in one place, and whatever comes to him, whenever it comes, he takes it. He was passing stool and urine, and he was rolling in that. But the amazing thing about that is his stool and urine, they were so fragrant. So he was not some ordinary like yogi, you know. He was, you can see, when he gave up all this activity, this attachment to the body, he was very special. He had very special qualities, and he was still as brilliant as the sun, right? And this is he gives this example to for the mystic yogis, because he had all the mystic siddhis, he's perfect. But then the sons ask that, how come, someone may ask, although he's a mystic yogi, how come he did not pursue the mystic perfections? Why he became just like an avadut, just depending on, on the Lord? Then Rishabdev gives a warning about the mind, because the mind is restless and untrustworthy. He gives the example that the mind cheats you, like in the case of Lord Shiva, who then after Mohini Murti. So Mari Muni, who was performing so much austerity, but then he was attracted to sex life. It's like an unchaste wife. She doesn't stay with one man. And the mind is also the repository, the root cause of the 6 enemies: lust, anger, pride, greed, lamentation, illusion, and fear. Therefore, one should not trust the mind, and we should discipline it. After this, Rishabdev disappears. And how he disappears? He disappears in a forest fire. He just gives up his life like that. And this is how a yogi is supposed to leave his body. A mystic yogi, he disappears like that. So then, the Bhagavatam also tells about some heretics, right? Some people who are imitators of Rishabdev. And he warns us that during Rishabdev's time, there was a king called Arhat. He wanted to do the same activities that Rishabdev was doing without the internal purification of his heart. And he concocted his own system of religion. And the qualities of these concocted systems of religion are that these systems do not free you from Maya. They're still under the material modes of nature. They give up Varnashram, they give up hygiene and cleanliness, they stop worshipping the Lord, they accept some nonsensical principles, like they pluck their hair, extra austerity, and they deride the Vedas and even the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And these kind of systems, these kinds of religious systems, they flourish in Kali Yuga. And so the modern, what you see, one of the examples, let me go back, is that, the Jain system is like that. Our goal is we should follow Rishabdev, we should not imitate, right? We should follow his teachings, we should hear his teachings and follow, but we should not imitate him. So that's important. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport writes that the modern day hippies are kind of like this, when the hippies started their own in the 60s, they had all these things, right? They gave up material rules and regulations, they were not clean, right? Everything went, and it flourishes in Kali Yuga. So this is what the Bhagavatam is warning us. So if someone reads or hears about the pastimes of Rishabdev, then what is the phala? What do we get, right? The Bhagavatam tells us our sinful reactions will go away. It will create auspiciousness. And one can attain pure devotional service, pure bhakti. And in this way, we can go back to Krishna. So I'll stop here. I'm sorry I took up 10 minutes more for the glitch. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Madhavi, for the wonderful class. I'm not sure, Madhavi, if you have time, if any devotees, any questions, we can take them.
Okay.
Dear devotees, if you have any question, please raise your hand. Yeah, Braj Bhumi Mataji, you can unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna. Mataji, could you please expand on the difference between a partial incarnation and the full incarnation of the Lord, please?
Yeah. So we know in the net of devotion that the Supreme Lord has 64 qualities, right? And then we see that Lord Vishnu has how many? 60, right? So Vishnu Tattva incarnations, like, Vishnu Narayan will have like 60 of the qualities of the Lord. So similarly, the Lord is full in all 6 opulences. So he may choose, like in this case, Rshabdev, what opulence did he demonstrate? The opulence of renunciation, right? So he did not show the opulence of like wealth. He showed the part of the opulence of wisdom, like all knowledge. But he showed when the Lord's incarnation shows a certain part of himself, then that is called not a full incarnation. Then okay?
Thank you.
Sorry about the cold.
Any other devotee, any other question? Okay. So let's thank Mataji with chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 3 times for a wonderful class. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for wonderful class.
Hare
Ram, Hare
You're
Ram,
welcome.
Hare
Thank you, dear devotees. And
Hare
we will see you
Krishna,
tomorrow again with the next class tomorrow.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna,
Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.